Hello, everybody. Have you ever asked yourself why? Why me? Why is it that every time I seem to be getting ahead, something happens and I just take 5 steps back or whatever it is? Maybe you ask yourself those questions. Perhaps you hear other people around you asking those types of questions. Would you be interested in knowing that if you ask better questions, you can get better answers and it can seem easier to reach your goals, your outcomes, your intended states of being more quickly? Would that be of interest to you? Well, if so, stay with me. If not, just move along to the next video, and that's okay. Maybe you come back another day and I'll have something that is of interest to you. But for now, for those of you interested in questions, let's talk about questions. So, questions. Why questions tend to keep us stuck, stuck in the past, stuck in states that we don't really want to be in. So, when we learn to ask more empowering questions, we get better answers and we activate something in our mind called the reticular activating system, which brings our focus and our attention to what it is that we want. And it brings more of those things that support what we want into our awareness. So it's as if we were, if you can imagine being a camera and having the interchangeable lenses, and you go from a zoom lens that's a very narrow scope of vision to changing that out to a wide angle lens. And as that lens opens up and it brings more into the picture, you can see more of what's available to you. So let me talk a little bit about that reticular activating system. So, if you're into science and how the brain works, it's a part of the brain, it's a function of the brain that acts as an antenna that brings to our awareness what the mind thinks it is that we want. So, if we constantly feed our mind negative information of based on fear, lack of scarcity, it'll keep finding that for you. I think it was Brene Brown's in her book, The Braving the Wilderness. There's a part of the book where she talks about don't go out into the world looking for all the reasons you don't belong because you will find them. Well, what she's talking about is how our mind works. What we focus on, we get more of. So, some people, if you follow the law of attraction, what it is that you look for, you find more of. So, in this case, you can learn to tune your reticular activating system to what it is that you do want. So, set up your antenna, your signal to tune in to the things that you want or want more of that move you towards your desired outcomes. So that might mean um, first identifying what it is that you want. Now, I work with a lot of people that come in because they just know that they don't have what they want, but they start off with giving me a list of all the things that they don't want. So if you're very clear on what you don't want, go ahead and get a piece of paper, pause the video, get a piece of paper, and just write that list. Whatever comes to mind quickly. It might be 5 things, 10 things, it might be 20 or 100 things, but just get it all out of your system. Write that list of all the things you don't want. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be sick. I don't want my loved one sick. I don't want somebody to die. I don't want to get fired. I don't want my hours cut. I don't want gas prices to go up. I don't want, whatever it is. I mean, most people that come into my office can rattle off a list of lots of things they don't want. And then once they've exhausted that, I bring them back to, well, what is it that you do want? And sometimes it's a little more tricky to get to. So start thinking about what it is that you do want. What kind of outcomes do you want for yourself? maybe with all the things that we have going on with COVID-19, the coronavirus, maybe what you really want is to feel more in control. Maybe you want to feel more secure. Maybe it's more peace. Maybe it's serenity. Maybe it's a joy. Maybe it's fun. Whatever that is for you, there's no right or wrong. What you want is what you want. So sometimes when people will look at what it is that they want, they'll think of, well, I want more money. Okay, that's fine. What will more money get you? What will you have when you have more money? So identify what it is that you want and then ask yourself, what will you have when you have that? And then ask that a few times so that finally you get to what that usually it's one of your top values. It's I'll just feel more at peace. I'll feel safer. Whatever it is for you. Like I said, there's no right, there's no wrong. Identify what's important to you. So we'll use an example today with the questions of, let's say, peace and security, a sense of security. I'll walk you through the questions that you can ask, and you can write them down and practice asking them yourself. And as you get better at clarifying the questions that relate to the process of getting what it is that you do want, then your reticular activating system, your RAS for short, will tune in to those signals that kind of bring into your everyday awareness more of those things that move you towards what it is that you do want. So why tends to keep us stuck. So now, in business and science, sometimes we want to ask why when we're in an analysis kind of part of our operations. So you can use why to and help it analyze situations and gather information. But as we want to move more into reaching our goals and our intended outcomes, when we ask ourselves how and what questions, those are more process oriented. So they tend to like focus in on what it is that we want and help us decide how we want to choose to move forward towards those goals. So you can start with just maybe even 3 questions. Just write down 3 questions, and you'll, as you read them and as you start thinking about them, you'll be able to refine them and add on to them and make them even more empowering. So you can ask questions like, for instance, what am I going to do today to bring me a greater sense of peace? What am I going to do to bring me more joy today? What am I going to do today to feel more gratitude? Whatever it is that you've decided what it is that you want more of. What am I going to do today that brings me more of it? And let's say that it is peace. As I experience peace more and more, how will I enhance my sense of security? How will I enhance my feeling of safety? Whatever that secondary one is for you, if you have one. As I experience what it is that I want, how will I also enhance something else that's important to you? What will I do today to make my life feel like I'm just more at peace? I'm more at peace with life, with the world, with myself. What will I do today? Who will I connect with today to become more at peace? Who will I connect with today that will allow me to feel even more safe? So you get the idea, what and how. So you're asking, what am I going to do, which implies taking action. You stay away from can, like what can I do? Well, I could probably come up with a list of 100 things that I can do, but I may not want to do all of them. I may not want to do any of them. So when you bring your question to what will I do, it implies taking an action. So when you ask questions of yourself, your mind is designed to give you answers. So that's why it's important to ask the right questions. Ask empowering questions, what and how questions that move you towards that desired state. In order to get to that desired state, first you'll have to identify it. What is it that you really want? And as you ask those questions more and more, and you become more effective with them, you become more conditioned to them. Your reticular activating signal, the receiver in your mind, that RAS, is going to become more tuned to what it is that you really want, because it's going to be very clear. So it's going to be on the lookout for that signal that matches what it is that you decided that you want for yourself, that outcome that you have chosen for yourself. Doesn't mean life's perfect, but when you learn how to use your mind in a way that gets you more of what you want, it just seems like things happen, like life is easier, like we move to our goals quicker and easier. And everybody wants that, right? We want to achieve our outcomes. We want to experience the things that support the values that we hold for ourselves. And for everybody, that order of values, the list of values may be different, and that's okay. So identify what it is that you want. That's the first thing. What is it that you do want? Name it. And then ask yourself a couple questions to make sure you really are focused on the one that is associated with a value that's really important to you. So when you identify what it is that you want, why do you want it? Like, why is it important to you? What will I have when I have more peace? What will I have when I have a better job? What will I have if I have more money? And then if you keep asking, what will that get me? You'll be able to dig down, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're like, well, that's just it. I just have peace. I feel in alignment with the universe. Then you know when you get to that, and that doesn't take very long. So practice it. Get to what it is that you want, and then ask yourself more how and what questions that move you towards that intended outcome, that desired outcome. And tune in that antenna to receiving those signals. So where you look, you find more of it, whatever it is for you. Look for what you want.